Hello, my name is Brittany and welcome to Family Fridays Paint Night. A few words and announcements before we begin. Thank you for your continued interest and support for this workshop over the past 4.5 years, both in person and virtually. What started as an unexpected shutdown at the beginning of the pandemic 2 years ago ended up being a passion project and helped me gain more experience in video production as I filmed, edited, and uploaded monthly painting tutorials. I chose to keep this class going because I didn't want to abandon any of my participants who have been with me in person since the beginning. I figured keeping something a routine in your schedule would give you a sense of normalcy in an otherwise unknown and unpredictable time in everyone's lives. Well, as you may have guessed based on what I'm hinting, we are reopening the Art Center. Finally! Can you believe it? It's like a dream, and I truly can't wait to see all of you again and maybe meet some new participants for the first time. Things will look quite different when we reopen. Did I mention when we're reopening? That's a little important. We are reopening in May, which is next month. Because we want to stay open, and especially since we are on a hospital campus, expect limited reservation availability per workshop, social distancing, mask requirements, temperature checks, and more. We want to ensure that we keep everyone healthy and we are not contributing to the spread of any illness. More information on what to expect as a participant will be sent and posted on our website and social medias at a later time. Our new calendar will be posted on our website and mailed very soon with updates on which workshops will be in person and which workshops will remain virtual until further notice. You can find a link to our virtual calendar in the description box below. Also, because my workshop usually holds a larger group on average, the maximum number we can have at a time is 10. That's not a lot, and I know more of you will want to paint with me than what I can accommodate for in one session. Well, because of this, we will be opening up a second session of Family Fridays. Surprise! Therefore, Family Fridays will be held on the first and third Fridays of every month. This does not mean you need to sign up for both sessions. The same painting will be taught at both sessions, so sign up for the one that works best with your schedule. Okay, now that we have all the announcements out of the way, I'm so excited. Let's start painting virtually for the last time together. As a reminder, my class was made to promote bonding between family and friends. You do not need to be an artist to enjoy art. My art isn't perfect, so don't think yours needs to be either. To all those participating in this activity, I want you to try your best and don't worry about the outcome. My hope is for you to let go, get lost in the artistic process, and forget about what's currently happening in the world, even just for a little bit. One last thing before we begin. Feel free to pause, rewind, fast forward, mute, or do anything you need in order to follow along with this video. I normally take over 3 hours to complete a painting, even though my class runs about 2.5 hours. For the sake of time and to make a short video, the clips you see of me painting are sped up significantly. Please, by all means, relax and take your time. I hope you enjoy. Let's get started. Here is what we will be painting for April of 2022. Disclaimer, this is my interpretation of the original artwork I found somewhere on the internet. I do not take credit for this concept, and I wish I could find the original artist to give credit. Think of this as a study of the original artwork. As we begin to enter spring, here we have a scene of a curious bumblebee flying around an arrangement of lavender and greenery in front of a wooden background. Feel free to take artistic control, change the colors, make additions or adjustments, or change it up completely. The choice is yours. Alright, let's talk about paint. We'll be using acrylic paint for this activity. You can use the fancier, more expensive paints if you want to. For this project, I'll be using paints you can find at your local craft store or even Walmart that are less than $1. We'll need a few colors: green, lime green, yellow, brown, white, black, purple, and dark purple. We'll need a few brushes today: a large flat brush, a medium flat brush, a medium round brush, a small flat brush, and a thin detail brush. Some optional materials: a ruler to draw the lines of our wooden boards, Q-tips or cotton swabs for dabbing of the lavender, and a pencil. Some other materials we will need: something to put under the canvas or canvas board, such as a tablecloth or newspaper. You can also use a mat board like this one I've used several times. You can easily find these reusable boards at any craft area. Of course, you need something to paint on. I personally will be using a canvas board, 12 by 16 specifically. You can also use an actual canvas of any size as well. Then we have our paints. You'll need a plate to put the paint on. You can also use a palette if you have one, a water cup to clean your paintbrushes, and lastly, a paper towel or an old towel. I'm using an old towel that I have used for other paintings, as you can see here. Okay, order of operations, how this painting will go. First, we will measure out the wooden planks. There should be 4. Then we will paint the background of the wooden planks. My color is gray. Then we will do the middle of those planks. Next, we will map out where we want our lavender to go. Then with the bundles of our Q-tips, we will get into some purple and white paint and paint the lavender. Next, we will add our greenery. After the greenery, we will sketch out and paint the white flowers and all of the white petals that go along with it, as well as the fun purple and green dots that go in between. Then we will work on the details of our wooden planks, and then lastly is the bumblebee. Okay, I'm going to start off by measuring the 4 wooden panels. So this canvas board is 12 by 16. So across is going to be the 12 inches. So right now I am just marking every 3 inches. So 3, 6, 9, and 12. Splitting the center should be 6 inches, and then between that is the 3. So I'm marking off little ticks on the bottom of the page, top of the page, and middle, since my ruler does not reach, and then I am just tracing all the way from the top to the bottom. Alright, so let us begin painting. So first I am going to start off by pouring myself some paint. I am going to pour out some black, white, and brown, and I'm going to mix the black and white together to make a nice little gray color. The gray is a little bit lighter, so I'm going to add more white than black just to make it a nice little light gray color. But first I am going to, with my medium flat brush or my small flat brush, I'm first going to trace out the lines that go into the middle of the plank, so like the little groove right here, if you will. With that color, you can either use your black or you can use brown. I think right here I'm just doing my dark brown. This is just so we don't lose our lines. We will paint over these probably, but painting these lines right now first, we should try to be able to see them first. So I'm going to first do these, and then I'm going to dive in and mix my gray paint to start painting the wooden backgrounds. So right here I'm just mixing my black and white together, more so white than black. Doing these wooden panels, the wood is going to be really fun to do. So just like any wood color, it's not completely solid. You will have some parts that are a little bit light in certain areas and a little bit darker in certain areas. So same concept here. First, we're going to do a nice little base coat. I'm making sure that I do just around the corners or just around the edges of the canvas. I like to do that with my paintings. This might require you to do a couple layers, so don't really have to worry about this first layer too much. We're just putting down a nice base coat so that the top layers have something to stick to. So I'm doing my painting panel by panel, just so I'm not reaching over and accidentally moving the paint or having it be on my clothes. So I'm just doing it one at a time. You can do a base layer, all 4 panels, and then do all of your fun differentiation in color. That's something that you can do. It's up to you. But right now, I'm just playing with these colors. I'm adding in a little bit of darkness, a little bit of lightness with the white, and not completely blending it away, but just making some differentiation in color. So I'm just having fun with it. Can't really tell too much from the camera, but in person you can tell the different dimensions and the depth, the highlights, all that fun stuff. So this is probably what's going to take you the longest to do, in all honesty, is the wooden panels. So if your panels are taking you a little bit less time, that's great. It took me a little while, but as we all know by this point, I like blending. So that's why it took me so long. Let's be honest, it's because I like to mix the colors. But right now, that's what we're doing. And as you can see, as I get closer to those edges, I do lose that line in the middle. So after we do all of our painting of the wooden panels, I will go back in with that darker paint just to put that in there and make a nice little shadow. So take your time, enjoy the music, have fun doing these wooden panels right now, and then the darker centers in the middle. I will check back when we are ready to start sketching out our lavender. Alright, and now that the wooden panels are nice and dry, or they should be before you move on to this point, we are going to sketch out where we want the lavender flowers to go. So there should be 3 curved lines that we are sketching out right now. First, a tall one that's curving upward to the right, a smaller one that is curving down to the left, and another one that's very close to that smaller one, so kind of in the same direction as that taller one right there, going upwards to the left. And right here I'm just kind of tracing out where I want some of my leaves to go, but right now that's optional. I think I erased some of these. I didn't like where they were after I painted the lavender, so you're more than welcome to just paint the stems of where you want the lavender, and then we'll paint the leaves after that. So go ahead and sketch out our lavender, and then we will start bundling up our Q-tips. Alright, so I just grabbed a handful of Q-tips, and what we're doing right now, we are just bundling up our Q-tips. I counted, and I first made 2 bundles that were in a pack or a group of 15, and then I had a bunch of small little rubber bands, and I just tied that around twice. There's my first little bundle. We're going to be dabbing into the white and purple paints with that soon. So right now I'm just going to make my second bundle, and then whatever I have left over will be the third one. If you don't have any Q-tips left over to spare, even just a couple will be good. But if you don't, you can use the backside of a pencil using the eraser. That's good too. Or you can just use a regular old medium round brush. That is also good. I just wanted to experiment with Q-tips because that sounds like fun. So right now I poured out my purple, dark purple, and white. So with my regular purple and white, I'm getting that onto the Q-tip, and I'm just starting to dab. So dab, 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 dab. I'm trying to get the white towards the top of the lavender, and then towards the bottom, the darker lavender. And it kind of mixes together the white and the purple to make a light purple, and I really like the way that looks. And it covers a lot of surface area in a little amount of time. I love this. I wish I would have done this sooner with you guys, just because it's so much fun. So with one of my smaller bundles, I am getting into that darker purple color, and I'm pretty happy with this. You can do multiple dips into the paint if you want to, or you can just make it as simple as possible. I am trying to keep the circles in there from the cotton swabs, so I'm going to try to not dab too much, but it's inevitable. You might erase some of it, which is fine. So I went ahead and did that smaller one right there, and that is going upwards to the left, and this one is kind of starting off going to the right, but then it does technically curve towards the left side. So same thing, I am making sure that one side is a little bit lighter. Then we have our purple in the middle, and then towards the bottom where the lavender will meet the stem, it'll be that darker color. So just have fun with your dabbing of the Q-tip bundles and the paint, and I will check back in when we are ready to do the greenery. Okay, and now we are going to start working on the stems, leaves, and other miscellaneous greenery. So I'm first starting off by pouring myself out some black, if the black that we previously had is already dry, some black, white, and green. Well, I guess not necessarily white. Black, green, and our lime green. With these three colors, that's just to serve as different dimensions, so not all of the greenery is blending into each other. So right now we are focusing on the stems that is coming out from the lavender, and then we'll also work on the stems for our white flowers, and then all of the leaves that are in between. So we have leaves coming from the lavender stems, the white flower stems, and then just whatever greenery that you want to add leaf to, you can. So that's what's going to take up the majority of our time. You can make this as simple or as scarce as you want to, or you can fill up the canvas with much more green than what I did, as much as you want to. So right now we are just going to work on our leaves, giving some of it different dimensions, so some of it with more blacks, some of it with more green, and then a highlight color with that lighter green. And if you want, you can either add some yellow or some white to it. That is completely up to you. So I will check back in when we are ready to move on to the next step. Alright, so now we will work on painting the petals of the white flowers. This may require you to do multiple layers, as the white on top of all of the color that we already did, the color might show through the white paint, so be prepared to do just a couple layers. So I'm trying my best to do these flowers first of all having different number of petals, but then sometimes some of them facing different directions. That's a little bit hard to do if you're not really experienced, so I'm not very experienced with doing that at an angle. I'm trying my best. So instead of being able to see all 5 or 6 petals straight on, you might just have some coming out from a certain angle and not from the other angle, so kind of like right here. So what we see right now is this angle, the flower is showing that it is facing the upper right hand corner, so there shouldn't be petals on that bottom side, just giving that illusion that it is facing a different direction. So that's what we're working on right now, just doing a couple layers of that. After that is dry, you will paint the inside of the flowers, the center of the flowers yellow, and then kind of mix in some brown to go with it, just to give it a little bit of dimension of the center of the flowers. So not really too much detail on this part. You can, if you want to, you can make each petal have a different shadow to give it more dimension on that, but I just felt that there was enough and more detail in the lavender, which is the main focal point, and all of our pretty greenery that I didn't want to take away from these flowers. So you can do different color flowers if you want to, make them more detailed if you want to. That is completely up to you. But I will check back in when we are ready to move on to the next step, which is after these flowers. So after the petals and after the centers. Okay, so now that the flowers are done, I'm going to start prepping for the painting of our bumblebee in the corner. So first I'm going to start off just by putting down a nice little base coat of white. And that's because the yellow paint that I have is very translucent, that we would most likely see the gray poke through, and I want to make the yellow as bright as possible. So the bee shape, it's kind of like a shape of a jelly bean. It kind of has a little curvature to it, but also we're making sure that we have room for the head of the bee as well as the stinger. So we have the head, the stinger, and the wings. So first we're just painting that out. So now I'm going to do my last details of the wood planks. You don't have to do this part if you don't want to. It was definitely I was definitely trusting in the process right here because we did so pretty on our wooden planks already. So I went ahead and mixed a very light brown, and with my thin detail brush I'm just doing these nice little loose curved round fun lines for the wooden planks, and that's just to give it a little bit more dimension and to fill up some space. I really like how that turned out. Alright, so now just to fill up some space in all of our flowers and in our greenery, I am first with my one of my small round brushes, or you can even do a Q-tip if you have an extra one lying around. I'm just dabbing in some white little spots. That's just to fill up some space. That could just be in place of some petals, so some nice little petals floating around. And also with that color, I'm also going to be adding in some purple. So same with that lavender color, some lavender floating around in the air. I'm adding in some purple. And then once I am done with that color, I will also add in just a few dots of green as well. And I think I still felt like I had room. So right here with one of my smaller brushes, I'm just doing in some smaller little speckles, kind of like how we do the stars in our galaxy. So that is up to you if you would like to do that. And then our next step after this will be to do the bumblebee. Alright, so we have arrived to the very last step, which is the bumblebee. So first I am starting off with my small detail brush or a small round brush, whatever you have. I am painting the entire body yellow, and I'm gonna wait for that to dry. I might do another layer. I think it looks fine right now, but we will be adding the black stripes and the black head once the yellow is dry, so make sure that we do a nice thin, generous layer. And then we are doing the details of the wing. I kind of was just experimenting on how I wanted to do the details of the wing, so disregard all of my attempts on what I was trying to figure out here. If you want, you can even do the wings a blue color. I contemplated adding in some blue to my palette, but I just wanted to make it as simple as possible for everybody. So I'm just adding in some gray and making it as light as possible, even in some black right here. At the end of all of this, I kind of just ended up making everything blended together and then kind of just doing in some outlines with my gray just to differentiate the wings from the wooden planks. So all of this, I'm just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. So now I am dipping in with my black paint, and right here I am just painting the head black. I'm doing one stripe right here, another stripe right here, and then I'm leaving it at that. I will add this little stinger right here, some legs, and then some antenna right on the head. Pretty simple, right? So you can leave it like that, or we can further on with detail. So I'm mixing in some gray right here to the tops of all these black colors, and that is to just give the illusion that the bumblebee is a little bit more 3D and the body is round. So we're doing that highlight color on top, and then we are going to go in with some brown towards the bottom, and it'll really make that illusion that the body of the bee is round. So right here, I'm just still trying to figure out what I want to do with the wings. Now I'm going back in with the yellow because it was a little too gray for me. So disregard that. If you get your wings in on the first try, that is great. Good news. So right here, I'm just going back. I'll probably outline my... There we go. So that's basically what I stuck with. So I'm just doing a few lines right here just to differentiate the wings from the background. Simple as that. If I wanted to add some blue, I'm more than welcome to do that, and you are welcome to do that as well. So right here, I am just re-outlining my black, and I am going to start mixing in my gray color. I mean, not my gray, my light brown color. I should have that ready already from the little brown squiggles that we just did with the wooden planks. So towards the bottom of the towards the bottom of the bee is where I am adding in that brown color, so towards the belly. So I'm kind of meeting it right in the middle where the gray and the black part stopped, and so now you can really see that it is a nice round bee right there. So I'm just mixing that in with the yellow as much as I want to. There we go, right here. So now it looks really round, and it looks really good in person too. Once you see the final picture, you'll see more in detail of what I am talking about. And that is it, my friends. Good job if you made it this far and completed the painting. I'm happy with my finished product, and I hope you are with yours too. If your painting looks different from mine, that is totally fine. If you followed along and completed the painting or went on a creative adventure of your own, please feel free to share your artwork with us. We'd love to see it. Email address can be found on the link in the description box below. As you know, I have missed every single one of my Family Friday participants these past 2 years, and my wish has come true to be back in person once again. I'm happy to know that more people have had the chance and opportunity to do art safely at home and on their own time during this temporary shutdown. I hope these videos brought you joy, and you were able to relax and not worry about the current events of the world, even just for a little bit. Keep an eye out for the new calendar, announcements, and instructions on how to register for upcoming in-person workshops. Please stay safe, have a great rest of your weekend. I'll see you very soon.